What's up, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope? Great morning, great morning, great morning. How are you guys? Come on in, come on in. Let me go in here and share this. Come on in, you guys. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. This is about to be juicy. Okay. Y'all, this one is going to be juicy. This is going to be a juicy show. I need y'all to get ready for the juice. Yep. Great morning. I'm trying to figure something out real quick. Okay. Let me share. And then let me post. Hey, you guys, who's here? Let me know who's here. Let me know who's here, where you're tuning in from. You all, this is an exclusive. So today, well, let me just take you on a little journey. I told you guys for about 2 weeks now, I've been a little off kilter, right? And part of it is I've been going through a major healing process. There are lots of things in our lives that we may not have healed from, that we're not aware that we haven't healed from. And so, one of the things for me, like I say that relationships has always been that area, right? The area I can tell you about, I can like all of that. But it's been the area where I have had an Achilles heel. And I discovered, this is what I'm going to say, I discovered the source of my Achilles. Now, I will be honest with you that this journey has been challenging. It has been painful. It has been all of that. And a part of the reason that it's been so challenging and so painful is that I have not been willing to really look deeply at some things because it hurt so badly. I didn't want to go that deep. I didn't want to revisit some things. I didn't want to address some things, address some things that I experienced and address some things that were in others and some things that were in me. So I went on a journey, and this journey really has been prompted by several things. Another divorce, another relationship that didn't work, right? That I had to exit. Um, the pain that comes with that, but also the pain of the previous, not just marriages, but relationships, and not really having grieved them. Because, relationships ending is like a death, and there's a grieving that you go through, right? And then recently, I just did a radio show with my ex I didn't marry. So when I talk about my marriages, I talk about I've been married 5 times, and then there's the one that I didn't marry, right? The one that I didn't marry that I always felt like I should have married. Like if I had married him, my life would have been different, right? And so as we did the show, we had fun, we laughed, we had a good time. It was amazing, but it also unlocked some things for me. And I had some epiphanies that I wasn't expecting. And these epiphanies were almost earth shattering to me. So, in having the epiphanies, I realized that I had to address these things. These were not things that I could just skate over or gloss over. These were things that I really had to explore. How is it that I've been married 5 times, but I'm telling this man that I've never allowed anyone else to have access to my heart the way I allowed him to have access to my heart? I've never really loved anyone the way I loved him. Now, that's a whole problem in and of itself. And so I had to go dig deep and figure out what was going on with that. Now, this is the other thing that has prompted this particular show and an interaction that I recently had. And that's that yesterday I had gotten a call that my dad had been rushed to the hospital, and I asked people to pray, right? I didn't go into details, but I asked people to pray. He's good. He's home. Everything's okay. But it shook me because, see, this is what I've realized in the midst of everything that all the epiphanies that I've had, all the things that I've discovered is that my relationship with my father has been key to a lot of my relationship challenges. And I had to really be honest about that and dig deep. But not just my relationship with my father, also my relationship with my grandfather. So these two men who were very pivotal, they were my daddies, right? Each of them were daddy. Like my grandfather was daddy. That was daddy. Him and my grandmother raised me. So that was daddy. And my biological father, daddy, also was in my life. It wasn't that he wasn't in my life, he was in my life. When I got to a certain age, he would pick me up just about every weekend and I would go spend the weekend with him. I did not have an absentee father. It wasn't that my father was not present, my father was always present in my life. Like my dad was there, but the way he was there, um, sometimes for me, created some issues. Now, he did absolutely the best that he could. I wouldn't take anything away from my dad for that. He made sure if I said I wanted something for Christmas, my dad did everything in his power to make sure I got exactly what I said I wanted. Exactly. Exactly. He always did that. I was his only child, like for the longest. And so, all of his, resources kind of went to me in those holidays and stuff like that. So now, how did my ex unlock my heart? See, this is the thing about me. I knew very early on that I didn't want to be hurt. Mhm. I don't like hurt, don't like pain. Like it's not something that I um enjoy. And so I made a conscious decision to protect my heart at all costs. What does that mean, Dr. V? It means that I was not, you only want to get so close. I made a declaration when I was about 13 years old that I like stuck to. And that declaration was um, that I would never allow a man to be so close to me, so integrated into my heart and my life that if he left me, I would be devastated because I watched the women around me experience that. Women that I loved, women that I respected, those women. I watched them experience that. And I said, that will not be me. Nah, I'm good. I'm good on that. And so that was what I did. That was how I rolled. No, you're not going to hurt me. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good on that. And that was my approach. Here we are, though. Fast forward. Hmm, 41, 42 years. And I'm dealing with things that honestly should have been dealt with a long time ago, but I didn't have the wherewithal to deal with them then, nor did I even know how to deal with them. See, the interesting thing to me is this is why I was drawn to communication. Like, I believe that everything that happens in our life has purpose and a reason. The reason I was drawn to communication was I always wanted to understand. I always wanted to understand me. I always wanted to understand others, decisions, all of that. I always wanted to understand. I'm very introspective like that. Like, I want to know. Now, if you ask me something, I generally can tell you why I did something or why I said something because I'm very in tune with why I do what I do. There's some things that are being unlocked that I'm realizing are very deeply rooted, very deeply rooted. And so, because of how deep it's rooted, like I got to go through layers to get to the why underneath it. And That's what I've been doing lately. A lot of the deep work, the hard work, the work that, you know, happens below the water line. When you look at an iceberg, you see the part of the iceberg that's above the water, but there's a huge part of the iceberg that's under the water, right? And when we get to that part of the iceberg that's under the water, then we can really get to the root of some things. So I made a decision that there were just some things that I wasn't going to continue to carry. I just wasn't. See, I don't have time to have another marriage and divorce. I don't have time for that. Like that's out. That's out, right? And so that means that in order for me to avoid that, there's some very, very deep work that I have to do. Now, yeah, people can easily comment and say, well, you've been married 5 times and none of them have worked, and you're the common denominator. You're absolutely correct. I am the common denominator. And it is true that I have to examine, why is it that I keep making these choices? Why is it that I keep making this decision over and over again? The problem is not marriage. I am a wife. I was created to be a wife. I was born like a wife. Like I am a wife. I am most comfortable when I am a wife. I'm calm. It calms me. Like I'm settled. I'm not looking. I'm not searching. I'm not, feeling like, something is missing. And there are those who would say, well, you should not feel like anything is missing when it's just you. I get that. But when you've been created to be a wife goes with the husband. Like it goes together. And so I believe that there is a longing that God creates in us for that. Because otherwise, listen, the way my drive is, listen, I just would be doing me. Okay? Like I would not, I'm good, right? And so that longing is there for purpose because I'm created to build something with someone. And because I'm created to build something with someone, there has to be that desire built in. The problem is not the desire. That's not the problem. This is the issue. Real talk. And y'all are going to have to get the book to get all of the details and stuff. But this is the issue. And it's huge that I even said you're going to have to get the book, because for the longest, people have asked me, when am I going to write the book about my life? When am I going to write the book about my life? When am I going to write the book about my life? Not anytime soon, right? Because it requires me to deal with some things that I didn't necessarily want to deal with at that level, right? But you're going to have to get the book. Brittany, it's coming. It's going to be a book about my life. Oh, girl, pray for me, pray for me, pray for me. But before I write the book about my life in its totality, I'm going to write, the book is called 5 Plus. 5 Plus. And it's about my marriages and my relationships. And it's about this journey. And I was wondering why I couldn't finish writing that book. I was wondering why, it kept kind of stalling out. I couldn't get momentum on it. But now I know why. There were some things that had to happen. There were some things that had to happen. Right, Britt? So here we are. And I'm telling you how my ex unlocked my heart. Now this is the thing. When I met him, I was coming out of a marriage. When I met him, I was coming out of a marriage. It was my first marriage. I got married because I wanted my son to have a father. See, I'm real clear on why I've done the things I've done. Real freaking clear on why I did them. Was it always the best decision? No, but it was the decision that I made. And the thing about me is I'm woman enough to own my decisions. See, a lot of times people won't own their, I don't care, good, bad, indifferent. I own my decisions. I own my choices. I own it, right? I can have a conversation with you about it. We can agree to disagree on it. That's cool. But listen, it is what it is. It's the decision that I made, right? If I'm wrong, I can say I was wrong. I've done it. I even remember going back to my first husband, who's my next to the oldest son's father. And I had to apologize to him. I had to apologize to him for castrating him, for not really allowing him to be a man, the head in our relationship. There were some things that I realized that I did much later that I wasn't aware I was doing at the time, right? So each of my relationships, each of my marriages have taught me some things. They've taught me things about me. They've taught me things about what I want, what I desire, what I need. That's what relationships are designed to do. Not every relationship has to become a marriage, though. And I don't think it was that I thought every relationship had to become a marriage, but I loved being married. Truth. Facts. Now, this is the other thing. Add to that, oh my goodness, my battery's low. Add to that my desire not to be in sin. Okay? Now, I want y'all to hold on to that thought right there because that's a big one. So my desire not to be in sin, not to be having sex and not being married. I really want us to understand that the impact that can have on people and their lives and their journeys, it's huge. So in our desire not to live in sin, we can make decisions. We can make decisions that put us in relationships that are not the relationship that we need to be in, but we're in it because we don't want to sin. I love God so much, and he knows it. And I also believe that I've come to understand some things that I didn't always understand. I think that sometimes we get so caught up in being perfect, so caught up in not making mistakes, so caught up in image and perception and all of those things that we truly miss the heart of God. Now, God didn't say not to fornicate, not to commit adultery, just to say it. He said it to protect us from the pain that comes when you create those intimate connections and relationships, those soul ties that are difficult to break, right? And you create them with multiple people, and it creates all of this stuff in our life, and we're not even really conscious of it or aware of it. But what we've done is we have made this thing, so we make decisions that are life-altering decisions that are made to not sin, just to avoid sin. But do you know what is an even greater sin than fornicating? Getting married to someone so that you're not in sin, having sex, only to end up in divorce. That doesn't make sense. That's stupid. Remember I said that, sometimes you just have to laugh. Well, you do sometimes just have to laugh. And that's one of those things that I just have to laugh about, because what sense does that make? What sense does it make to get married so that you're not in sin, only to end up in divorce, which is another sin? None of it makes sense. So why do we do what we do? Well, we do part of it because, we have a desire to please God, but a lot of it we do because we have a desire to please people. We don't want people to see us a certain way. We don't want them to look at us a certain way. Y'all have to excuse my dark. We don't. I got to get this charger though. And so because we don't want, and I don't know where the lights are in my house, isn't that crazy? Because we don't want people to see us a certain way, we just want to do things right. We want to do things right. We don't want judgment, because the reality is a lot of times in the church, people are very judgmental. Yeah, they're very judgmental. And in all of that judgment, there are people who end up making decisions to avoid the judgment, but then the decisions create additional problems in their life. So one of my marriages was one of those. And it did not last. It didn't last. He wasn't a bad guy. I wasn't a bad person, but it didn't last. And that's why I'm telling you this, because so many people's lives end up getting affected by the decisions that we make. And we got all these lives being affected, and There's healing that has to take place, and all this stuff that people are going through. And for what? To not sin. Now, there are those who will probably hear what I say and hear it wrongly. Okay. But I'm going to say it nonetheless because it needs to be said. I would contend that it would be much better. Hold on, y'all. Let me plug in. That it would be much better to deal with the reason for the sin. And if you commit the sin, repent, than to create an even greater sin. So I don't tell these kids just get married because somebody pregnant. You just compounding the problem. You didn't fix the problem. You compounded the problem. Because see, now they don't just have a baby. They're married. They've made vows for life. And that's got to be dealt with. See, we make everything so much more complicated than it has to be because of appearances or because of what we think needs to happen. Y'all, listen. I don't know this God that people are putting out here. I don't know him. I don't know him. See, the God I know knows me intimately, and he would not want me to be in a situation that is not a situation that I need to be in. That's not my God. That's not my God. Now, if I'm in the situation and he allows me to be in the situation, or he places me in a situation, there's always a reason. I accept that. But just as far as just doing stuff for appearance's sake so that you don't look bad or the family doesn't look bad or you create this life for a child, but I've seen so many people who've done that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't. And now this young person has a divorce under their belt early in their life. Why? Because as adults, we were telling them, you need to get married. Y'all have done this. Go on and get married. Boy, you need to go on and take care of her and that baby. You need to make her a whatchamacallit woman. I can't remember what the word is, but you need to redeem her. I'll never tell my kids that. Ever. Never. Not just because somebody got pregnant. No. You need to take care of that baby. You absolutely do need to take care of that baby. That is your responsibility. But to tell them that they have to make a lifelong commitment to someone because they got them pregnant, no, but you need to think about what you're doing. Don't be doing that lightly, because you're going to be connected to that person for the rest of your life, whether you get married or not. Forever connection. Forever. Not just until the child is 18. No, forever. That's weddings. That's everything. Forever connection. So how my ex unlocked my heart on a Valentine's Day show. Because I put this lock on my heart, you can get so far. You can even have my body. There were places you weren't going to get in my heart. You just weren't. You'd get my body before you could get my heart. I know that sounds backwards, but it's the truth. So now, here I am, and I suddenly realized that I still love someone that I was in a relationship with over 2 decades ago. Over 2 decades. I'm talking about over 20 years ago. I think I was about 26. He was 25. We were in our 20s. We were in our 20s when we were together. But it was a defining relationship for me. It was a definitive relationship for me. It has impacted so much of my life. And to go back and revisit it and have the conversation. Really, while, we laughed, we joked, we had a good time, I realized some things that I had to deal with. This is the good news. I dealt with them. It took me 2 weeks of going through hell, not sleeping good, like being emotional, like all of that. It was hard. I'm not going to tell you it wasn't hard. It was hard. It was hard to realize that I've been unfair to every man I've been in a relationship with up to this point because another man had my heart, like the deep part of my heart. He had it. And so they really had no chance because whole time they're competing with someone who's got a part of me that they couldn't get to. I wouldn't give them access to it. It already belonged to someone else. Someone else had it. No one else could touch it. How unfair. Like I think about it from the other side. Like being in a relationship with a man that's in love with somebody else and like you never can, like they love you, but it's never going beyond a certain point. In marriage, that shouldn't be. Especially in marriage, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that a person can't have access to all of you. The truth of the matter is they couldn't have access to all of me. As much of me as I gave them, it wasn't all of me. Because there was a piece they couldn't touch, a place they couldn't go, a part they couldn't access, a door they couldn't unlock because someone else had the key. That was deep. And so now, here I am at a crossroads. And this is the crossroads. Deal with it all. Face it all. Be honest about it all. Lay it all out on the line. Go through the pain, the hurt, all the feelings, feel the emotions, or just go to the next and do the same thing over again. Well, I stood at the crossroads and I looked. And for a while, I tried next. Let me find the next one because it was easier. But that show disrupted me. It interrupted my pattern. Because that's my pattern. Just go to the next. The show interrupted my pattern. And I will forever be grateful to him for that. Because I don't know that I would have made a different choice right now, honestly. But I stood at that crossroads because of that show. I call it the Valentine's Day show that unlocked my heart and made a different decision. So I went down the road, had a conversation where I really just was honest. You all, before you can be honest with anyone else, you must be honest with yourself. I had to be honest with myself. I still love that man. I still love him, and I will always love him. I love him like I've never loved anyone else to this point. And I had to say it out of my mouth to his ears. I had to tell him, I love you without any expectations, without saying it to move him or manipulate him or get him to do any particular thing. I just had to tell him because it was the truth. And I had to say what I just said. Over 2 decades of loving this man through different marriages, different relationships, always loving him. He's been a constant in my life. He's been a constant. Once we got over like the pain of our relationship, he was a constant. On your computer, you have programs that are running in the background. He was the program running in the background, regardless of what application I had open. That's good. That's good. That's good. Woo! Y'all, that's good. Did y'all hear me? Woo! This book finna be so freaking fire. He was the program running in the background, no matter what application I had open. Who says that? That's some good stuff right there. Okay, back to the story. Back to the story. Ooh, y'all know that was good. That was good. Whoo! This is why I have to use my gifts for good and not for evil, because baby, that girl is a beast with them words, with them words, with them words. Oh God, I thank you for putting a leash on me, because Jesus, honey, this would be over. Anyway, he was the background. he was running in the background, no matter what application was open, no matter what marriage, what relationship it didn't matter. Like, he was always in the background. He was always in the background, running in the background. He was in the background, right? Unspoken, unheard, unseen many times, but still present. Present in my mind, present in my thoughts, present in, like all of that. Thank you, Regina. I'm trying to tell y'all, I be writing some stuff and saying some stuff to be fire. I'll be like, oh, that's good. That's good. But this is the thing, y'all. This is the thing. I had to acknowledge that. That was freaking hard to acknowledge. And so now that I've acknowledged it, now I can deal with it, address it, and move forward. I had to say, some stuff I'd never said before, but I said it. I got it out there. And I really think that part of what prompted it was my father going to the hospital. Of course, I got news that he was okay, but this is what I did not want to happen. I did not want anything to happen to him or to me, and me not to have clearly articulated my feelings for him. And the other thing is, and I couldn't do it last night. I was way too emotional, but there's a conversation I have to have with my dad. There's a conversation I have to have with my dad. Now, we've talked before about some things, and we're good. Like, we're in a good place. We're in a great relationship. I mean, my dad is amazing. We have a great relationship. We can talk about anything. In fact, when I have relationship stuff going on, I talk to my dad. My dad and I are also, I think that we have a lot in common. And for those of you who are watching this is my prayer for you. If you have a relationship that was like that relationship where you like really love that person, but things didn't work, but you have not created resolve there, create the resolve. Because otherwise, other people are going to get pieces of you, shadows of you. They're never going to get all of you until you create that resolve. And normally you don't have a lot of relationships, but there's one, maybe two that you have like that. And I just know that God has such amazing things in store for you. But you can't get to it without going through that stuff and really dealing with that stuff, because that's where the true healing takes place. See, this is why people go to therapists for years and years and never get free, never get on the other side of stuff, because sometimes the therapy doesn't really get to what's at the core, because we get good at dealing with the surface and not going to the core. Go to the core and deal with it. My ex unlocked my heart. And I could say to him, in all honesty, with all sincerity, without any ulterior motive, no agenda, none of that, that I love him and that I'll always love him. And then I had to release me. I know I joked about when he came to Nebraska, flew on the plane on a grad student budget. He reminded me of that last night, on a grad student budget. I know you didn't have no money. Mucker. Bought me a ring. Finally made the decision to do something that he had said that he was not going to do, which was marry someone, right? And I looked at him, let him pour out his heart, and then I stuck a knife in him and twisted it for all of the pain that I experienced in our relationship. Every time he cheated on me, every time he lied to me, for every time I was disappointed. And it was wrong. Because really, what I wanted to do, if I'm honest, is toss all of that away and tell him, I love you. And I don't care what we've been through. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But my pride wouldn't let me do it. My fear, he would do it again, that I would look stupid to people. All of that got in the way. And truth is, I felt like that was the biggest mistake of my life. I could never go back and fix it. There was nothing I could do. There was no time machine. There was no time warp that I could go in and go back and fix that. And if I did, how would my life be different? I wouldn't have the amazing children that I have. I wouldn't have gone to the places that I've gone to. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met. I wouldn't have impacted the lives that I've impacted. So I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for being prideful, being hateful and spiteful and vengeful, for hurting him, because I knew I hurt him. I knew it when I was doing it, and I knew it after. I had to forgive me. I had to give me permission. Permission to have not always made the best decisions. Permission to be flawed. Permission to be vulnerable in a way I don't like being vulnerable. Because someone needed to hear this. Someone needed to know that there's some work that you need to do, and it starts in you. And you may or may not end up having a conversation with that person. That person may or may not still be living. It does not change the fact you've got to deal with that. And people will tell you that you need to deal with this and you need to deal with that, but they never give you the steps. They never tell you how. You know, it's all of this. Just pray. Y'all, listen, I'm telling you what I did. And I'm telling you what it did for me. I woke up this morning. I finally released him, you know, um, on the radio show. And if you guys haven't heard the radio show, you need to go back and listen to it. Uh, I had to release him. On the show, I told him I know why I've been married 5 times. Well, why he has never been married. And he's like, why? I said, because there are things, in us in our relationship that you've been looking for that you haven't been able to find in anyone else. So we're two sides of the same coin. We went different directions. You didn't get married. I married 5 times. It's just how we respond to things differently. But a lot of it is rooted in some of the same stuff. Our stories are very similar, raised by our grandparents. You know what I'm saying? Like we have very similar stories. And then there's the fear. He said that, to be honest with been afraid to get married because I don't want it not to work. That's part of it. Part of it was there was some stuff that we hadn't dealt with us. We thought we had worked through it all, but we hadn't. But today, I can honestly say I'm free and release him and release me. Wow. Like that's a liberating place to be. But baby, I promise y'all, if I've looked like hell for the past 2 weeks, that's why, okay? Because I was going through hell. But it is my truth, and I stand by it. And I believe that my truth is going to help someone else accept and deal with, not just accept, but accept and deal with their truth. A friend of mine told me, all of this is making you better. You're better going to be able to serve people. You know what I said to that? I don't want to hear that ish. Because you don't want to hear it. Because it hurts. But it's necessary. You all, whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of times our love is not unconditional. It comes with all these conditions on it. I love you as long as you do this. I love you as long as you this. Or I love you as long as that. That's not God love. On Sunday, when I talked about Hosea, that's God love. When he had to love that woman, even though she was a hoe, even though she had them kids by these different men, even though she ran off time and time again, even though he had to go and purchase her. That, my friend, is love. Now, I'm not saying that we got to go through all that, but I'm just telling you that unconditional God love does all that. And this is the next thing. I had to forgive my grandparents. Because they were not perfect and they did not have a perfect marriage. And the first man that I ever loved was not only not perfect, he was not faithful. And I had to forgive him because I realized that was another key. That this man that I loved, that I admired, that I respected, that was my everything, I realized was not perfect. And he wasn't faithful. And that was my first heartbreak. It was not just for my heart, it was for my grandmother's heart. And then I felt some type of way about her. Like, why would you stay with him and you know this is happening? Because she had that Hosea, God, Jesus type love. Now I get it. Took me all these years to get it. But now I get it. And it was worth every moment of the journey to get to this place. there. I said it. It's out. I released it. And now you know how my ex unlocked my heart. And on Valentine's Day, to boot. No greater gift could I have been given. That was absolutely the best gift yet. I know there's more to come, and I'm excited because now I'm in a place where I can give love freely and receive love freely. There's no hidden keys that are under a doormat or under something that you got to look for. Like now, I'm in a place where I get it. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful because God put some people and a person in particular in my life to help me walk through this and process through it, who would not let me just get away with my cliches, who would not let me just be Dr. V, who would not let me stay on the surface, who would challenge me, keep my feet to the fire, but do it all in a loving and compassionate way, but call me on my ish, like that's bullish. Bullish. You're not being honest. And I'm grateful for that because those are the people that you need in your life. And the crazy thing is, I'm that person in so many other people's lives, like I'm that person to be like, that's some bull. That's some bull. But this person did that for me. And I will forever be grateful for that because this is what I've been waiting for. This was the thing God had been waiting for. This was the piece of the puzzle that was missing, the key that was gone. This. And so I finally got it. I got it. I got it. It feels good to be free. It feels good to be free. And I want to encourage you, get your freedom. You're never going to experience the love you desire until you get free. Get free and then watch what happens. That love will just come to you. It'll just show up out of nowhere. You'll be like, where did you come from? I've been waiting for you all my life. And he'll be like, but you wasn't ready for me. I'll be like, okay, you're right. I wasn't. Oh, God. Huh. Those are the things that unlock the keys, that unlock those areas that are necessary. Do the work, beloved. In the words of Iyanla Vanzant, do the work. Listen, you guys, I love you guys to life and life more abundant. If you're trying to figure out how to get your breakthrough, you need a breakthrough. You're trying to get to a breakthrough. Schedule your breakthrough strategy session. I just showed you. I know how to get a breakthrough. If I can break through that, baby, I can show you how to break through anything. Listen, go to getbalancedwithdrv.com, getbalancedwithdrv.com. I'm going to put the link up here, getbalancedwithdrv.com, and get your breakthrough to all the areas of your life. See, don't just be great in a few areas of your life. Be great in every area of your life. And you can only do that when you get honest with yourself and you get that breakthrough. Getbalancedwithdrv.com. Schedule your free breakthrough strategy session. Find out what's blocking you. And this is what I can promise you. You'll walk away with some strategies you can immediately apply to your life to make your life better. Immediately. And if you ask anyone who's done a breakthrough strategy session with me, whether they went on to do my coaching program or not, they'll tell you they had something to work with and they were able to use it to make their life better. Now, I just know this. I know there's some people that I'm called to. There are some people that are supposed to work with me. Now, I don't have any control over whether that actually happened. Well, I do have control over it. But, you positioning yourself to be a recipient of that experience is on you, right? But you being ready for that experience and willing to do what's necessary will determine whether or not I'm willing to make that commitment to you. See, for me, Lord, I don't put the wrong thing. That ain't right. Let me delete it. Oh, I saw a pen, y'all. Oh my goodness, I saw a pen. Wow. I've been trying to figure out how to pin to my broadcast all this time, and I finally saw a pin. Look, this breakthrough has unlocked a pen in my life. Get Balanced with Dr. V, drv.com. Y'all go schedule your free breakthrough strategy session. Yo girl has just learned how to pin a comment. Bam! That girl is whoop. Thank you, Dr. Jones. Listen, you guys, my prayer for you is that you will have an absolutely amazing and epic day, right? Make today the best day of your life yet. Don't let the past hold you back. No, face that stuff. Deal with that stuff. You a G. You a gangster. You a warrior. You were made for this. Baby, do the work, beloved, so that you can get on the other side and get the promises of God, because the promises of God are yea and amen. Yes, and let it be so. And you, sir, you, ma'am, deserve them. Let's get it. I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Be blessed. Mwah.